Stop using paint. Appalachian farmers protected their wood for 50 years with one simple method. Whilst you painted that fence post 6 years ago with the can that promised 12 years of protection, and it didn't even make it to 7. The wood has gone gray, the grain is split along the top, and when you press your thumb against the base, the fiber gives way like wet cardboard. Now, picture a tobacco barn in Madison County, North Carolina. The siding on that barn is 130 years old. Nobody painted it and nobody sealed it. It has stood through hurricanes, ice storms, and humid summers, and the wood is still solid. You can knock on it and hear that tight, dry thud that tells you the fibers inside are as strong as the day the chestnut came down. The Appalachian farmers were not using paint. They used a white powder that costs about $1 a pound at any farm supply store. And when you mix it right, it turns ordinary lumber into something that outlasts any paint you can buy. I learned about it the summer I went to visit my granny in her holler outside Grundy, Virginia. She introduced me to the old folks up there, and everything I thought I knew about protecting wood changed. By the end of this video, I am going to give you the exact recipe the Appalachian farmers used to protect their wood for over 50 years. It works on the deck you already own. It works on the fence you already built. You do not have to tear anything down to use it. The first time I saw it being mixed, I was standing in a yard outside Burnsville. An older man, somewhere past 70, was stirring a galvanized bucket with a length of poplar branch he had stripped the bark off of. The mixture looked like watered-down milk. He was coating a new tool shed with it, using a brush he said his wife had made from hog bristle. I asked him how often he had to redo the coating. He looked at me the way you look at a child who has asked something foolish. He said his father had coated the smokehouse one time in 1946, and nobody had touched it since. The smokehouse was still standing 15 feet away from us. The wood looked sound. I did not believe him. I wrote it down in my notebook and I drove home, and I figured he was telling tall tales the way old men sometimes do. Then I started pulling records. The powder is called hydrated lime. The chemical name is calcium hydroxide. You can buy a 50-pound bag at any feed store or Tractor Supply for under $20. That works out to 40 cents a pound. I rounded it up to $1 because most of you are not going to need a whole bag for a weekend project, and even with a brush thrown in, you are still going to spend less than the price of 1 gallon of exterior latex. Everything I'm about to show you is from my grandmother. Decades of Appalachian knowledge for taking care of your land, your home, and your family without depending on anyone. I've put it all together for you into one blueprint. Scan the QR code on your screen to get your copy, and let me know in the comments once you get it. But the powder by itself is only half the story. What you mix it with is the other half. And this is the part where the Appalachian method splits off entirely from everything the hardware store will tell you. The paint companies have spent the last 80 years convincing you that wood needs to be sealed. They want you to believe that what wood needs is a barrier, a coating, a layer of plastic or acrylic that locks the moisture out. The truth is that wood breathes. It pulls in moisture when the air is wet, and it releases it when the air is dry, and it does this every single day for as long as it is wood. When you put a sealed coating over a living material, you trap the breath inside. Water still finds a way in through cracks and end grain and joints, but once it is in, it cannot get out. That is why your deck rots from underneath. That is why your fence posts always fail at the ground line first. The paint did not fail you. The paint did exactly what it was sold to do. It sealed the wood so completely that the wood suffocated and rotted from the inside out. Hydrated lime does the opposite. It does not seal. It penetrates. It bonds with the cellulose at a level you cannot see with your eye, and it leaves the wood able to breathe while making the inside of the fibers chemically hostile to the fungi, the insects, and the bacteria that cause every kind of decay you have ever dealt with. A team at North Carolina State University published a survey in 2015 looking at lime-treated outbuildings in the southern Appalachians. The researchers found structures dating back to the 1870s where the original treatment was still active in the top layer of the wood, 140 years on. The report measured decay rates roughly 75% lower than untreated wood over a 30-year window. 75%. Sit with that for a moment, and then look out at the fence you are thinking about replacing this spring. Here where it starts to get uncomfortable for the paint industry. In 1936, the United States Department of Agriculture put out Farmer's Bulletin number 1756. It was a plain English document aimed at rural homeowners. That bulletin laid out step by step how to mix lime with skim milk, salt, and a small amount of linseed oil to make what they called a casein whitewash. The formula produced a coating that the government's own testing showed lasted between 20 and 50 years, depending on how exposed the structure was. The bulletin was reprinted a few times, then it was quietly pulled from the recommended list. By the late 1950s, the same Department of Agriculture was sending out glossy pamphlets recommending commercial oil-based paints. The chemical companies had moved in. The lime recipe was inconvenient. It did not generate repeat business. A coating that lasts 50 years is a coating you sell to a man exactly once in his life. I ordered a copy of that 1936 bulletin from the National Agricultural Library last winter. It has been scanned. It is sitting on a server. Nobody reads it because nobody knows it is there. The man who wrote it, a government extension specialist named Wallace Ashby, spent most of his career documenting the building methods of farmers in the Pennsylvania, German country, and in the southern mountains. His field notes from the late 1920s and early 30s are kept in the Cornell Agricultural Archive. Ashby understood that the mountain farmers were not being old-fashioned because they enjoyed being old-fashioned. They were being practical. They had worked out, over the course of 200 years of trial and error, that the cheapest materials on earth, mixed correctly, would beat anything a laboratory could put in a can. Now let us talk about the cost of what you have been doing instead. The average American homeowner spends somewhere between $800 and $1,200 every 8 to 10 years repainting a fence, a shed, or a deck. Stretch that out across a 50-year window, and you have spent roughly $5,000 per structure. Multiply it across a typical property with a house, a garage, a fence line, a shed, maybe a deck, and you are looking at $25,000 to $30,000 in paint over a lifetime. All of that money was spent protecting wood that could have been protected once permanently, with a bag of powder and a gallon of skim milk. The paint aisle is not there to help you. It is there to keep you coming back through the door every few summers. If you own an older house and you are wondering whether this only applies to people building something new, stay with me. This next part is exactly for you. You do not need to strip anything. You do not need to sand down to bare wood. You do not need a contractor, a permit, or a single tool you do not already own. The Appalachian method works on wood that has already been painted. It works on wood that is weathered. It works on wood that is cracked. It even works on wood that is starting to show the first signs of soft rot. Here is what you do. You pick a weekend when the forecast is dry for 3 days running. You take a stiff wire brush and you go over the surface of whatever you want to protect. You are not trying to take the old paint off. You are just trying to open the pores. If there is loose flaking paint, knock it off. If there are soft spots where the wood has gone punky, dig out the bad fiber with the tip of a screwdriver until you hit something solid. Do not worry about making it pretty. The coating is going to go on over all of it. Mix your wash in a 5-gallon bucket. Start with 4 quarts of skim milk. It has to be skim. Whole milk has too much fat in it, and the fat will turn the mixture rancid before it cures. Add 1 pound of hydrated lime, slow, stirring with a wooden stick the whole time. Never use a metal spoon or a metal paddle, because the lime reacts with certain metals and the bond gets weaker. Add a 1/4 cup of plain table salt. The salt works as a mild fungicide and helps the coating cure harder. Then add 1 tablespoon of raw linseed oil. That oil is what gives the mix its water resistance. Brush it on thick. Do not try to spray it through a sprayer, because the lime particles will clog the nozzle and the coating will not lay down right. Use a wide natural bristle brush. The wash will go on looking pale and milky, almost see-through. Let it dry for a full 24 hours. Then put a second coat on. That is it. You are finished. For 1,000 square feet of fence, your total material cost is going to be somewhere between $15 and $25. The coating cures over the next 2 weeks into a hard, slightly chalky surface that bonds with the wood at a level no commercial paint can reach. You will notice something the first time it rains hard after you have applied it. The water will bead on the surface for the first few days. Then, on the third or fourth rain, it will look like the coating is soaking in slightly. That is not the coating failing. That is the calcium carbonate crystallizing inside the wood fibers. The coating is actually getting harder every time it rains. The North Carolina State work confirmed this in the field samples they pulled. The treatment does not wear off the surface the way paint does. It cures into the wood and becomes part of the wood. After about a month, you can take a knife to it and it will not flake. You are not looking at a layer sitting on top of the grain. You are looking at wood that has been chemically changed into something tougher than the tree it was cut from. I tried this myself on a section of locust fence behind my place in 2021. I coated one 10-foot run with the Appalachian recipe. I left the section right next to it with the commercial deck stain I had been using for 20 years. 3 full winters have come and gone. The stained section is flaking now. The wood is dark at the ground line and starting to splinter along the top edge. The lime-washed section looks almost the same as the day I coated it. A little grayer, a little more weathered in the natural way you would want, but solid all the way through. Knock on it and you hear that same tight, dry sound I heard on the smokehouse outside Burnsville. You might be asking yourself why, if this works as well as I am claiming, you have never heard of it. The answer is not some dramatic conspiracy. It is something simpler and more honest than that. There is no marketing budget for a bag of lime. There is no advertiser paying to put this recipe in front of you on television or on a podcast. Home improvement shows are paid for by the companies that sell the expensive alternatives. Your local hardware store keeps the bag of lime on a bottom shelf in the garden section, with no label that mentions any of this, because there is no profit margin in telling you what it can really do. The knowledge was never destroyed. It was just outspent. It got drowned out by a century of advertising and pushed to the back of the shelf, kept alive only by the families in the mountains who never stopped using it. Now, I told you at the start of this video that I had something specific, a recipe my granny left behind for me. A leather book she had been writing in for most of her adult life, kept in the drawer of her kitchen table outside Grundy, Virginia. After she passed, I sat down and went through it page by page. Most of it was the kind of thing you would expect: garden notes, canning measurements, the right week to put up apple butter. But about 2/3 of the way in, there was a page she had titled Barn Milk. The ink was faded and the handwriting was tighter than the rest. The way people used to write when paper was scarce. The recipe had been passed down to her from her own grandfather, a man named Elijah Penland, who farmed about 90 acres just north of Virginia, starting in the late 1870s. The date my granny had written next to it was April of 1891. It was the standard lime, skim milk, salt, and linseed oil formula. But there was one extra ingredient on the list: alum, plain potassium alum, the same white crystalline powder that has been sold for $1 or $2 at any pharmacy or in the pickling section of any grocery for the better part of 200 years. The note specified 2 tablespoons of powdered alum dissolved in a cup of hot water and stirred into the bucket right before you brush the wash onto the wood. I did not understand what the alum was doing until I sent a copy of the recipe to a chemistry professor at the University of Tennessee who works on historic building preservation. He explained it to me in less than a minute. Alum is what is called a mordant. It binds proteins and minerals together at the molecular level. When you stir it into a casein and lime mixture, it locks the calcium together with the milk proteins, and it drives the entire mix deeper into the grain of the wood. It is the difference between a coating that holds for 30 years and a coating that holds for 80. The accelerated weathering work that team has done on alum-modified lime washes shows durability gains of between 60 and 100% over the plain recipe. The mountain families around Weaverville and Mars Hill have been adding alum to their barn milk for at least 130 years. The information never made it out of those hollers. It is not in the 1936 bulletin. It is not in any university extension paper I have been able to pull. It lives in that Bible, in a handful of old family recipes scattered across Madison and Buncombe counties, and now in this video. So the full recipe, the one you will not find anywhere else online, is this: 4 quarts of skim milk, 1 pound of hydrated lime, a 1/4 cup of table salt, 1 tablespoon of raw linseed oil, 2 tablespoons of powdered potassium alum dissolved in 1 cup of hot water, stirred in last. Mix it in a plastic bucket or a wooden one, never in metal. Apply it with a wide natural bristle brush. 2 coats, 24 hours apart. Total cost for enough to treat 1,000 square feet of wood is under $30. The expected service life, based on my own family's corn crib, which was last coated in 1944, is somewhere between 50 and 80 years. 80 years. You will not touch it again. Your children will not touch it. Your grandchildren might think about touching it, if they feel like it. That is what the paint aisle has been keeping from you. What you got from this video is not just a recipe. You recovered something, a piece of working knowledge that belonged to your great-grandfather and his neighbors. Something that was traded away while nobody was watching, swapped out for a product that was designed to fail on a schedule you did not set. The men who built the barns that are still standing in those mountains were not smarter than you. They just had not yet been told that the answer to every problem has to come in a can. If you are the kind of person who suspects that real working knowledge has been quietly shoved aside to protect somebody else's profit margin, you already know what you are going to do next. You are going to drive to the farm store this weekend. You are buying a bag of hydrated lime and a small container of alum. You are mixing your first bucket of barn milk in your driveway. And the next time you walk past your fence, you are going to feel something you have not felt about your property in a long time. You are going to feel like it actually belongs to you. Everything I have shown you is from my grandmother. So remember to get your copy of her blueprint for a more self-sufficient life by scanning the QR code on your screen, and let me know in the comments once you get it. If this changed the way you look at the wood on your own property, subscribe to the channel and share the video with whoever needs to see it. My next video covers the Appalachian method for keeping a root cellar bone dry for 100 years, without a fan, a pump, or a single watt of electricity. I will see you there.